It's 5 o'clock, and time for Wiregrass Strong. The new coronavirus epidemic is a big problem that's expected to become bigger in the weeks and months to come. For those who are infected as well as those trying to avoid infection, these are trying times. But amid all the doom and gloom, there are some positive stories, positive messages, and reasons to remain hopeful. So every afternoon at this time, your Wiregrass Radio family of stations will come together while staying apart to help you stay informed. We're going to be seeking your input. If you're a business impacted by the virus, call and let the Wiregrass know what you are doing to continue safely providing your services or goods. And if you're a parent working hard to take care of your family, we'd love to hear how you are coping. Remember, only the facts, no hearsay or rumors, and we're trying to keep things positive. Our number is 334-699-1053, or you can join us on YouTube Live, and you can chat throughout the program. Good afternoon and welcome to a Wiregrass Strong for a Tuesday afternoon. And we'd like to remind you this half hour is brought to you as a public service of Knight's Wrecker Service. Big or small, they do it all. 899-3257. Knight's Wrecker Service in Ashford, Dothan, and Headland to get to you really fast. I want to remind you tomorrow's guest will be David Sewell. He is our superintendent of Houston County Schools. We'll find out what's going on with Houston County Schools tomorrow afternoon on Wiregrass Strong, 5 o'clock with Mr. David Sewell. We're streaming live on Facebook at B1053 and YouTube at Wiregrass Radio, the Wiregrass Radio channel. We're also on all four of our FM properties, WESP, WECB, and WJRL Dothan, WBBK, Blakely, Dothan. And with us today on the panel, Marcus Cage from Magic 93.1, the People Station. Hello, and how you doing today, Marcus?
Doing great, doing great. How's everybody?
Tell me that again. I didn't have you turned up.
Oh, you didn't have me turned up? No, I'm doing great.
Good, excellent. And also on the panel with us today from the Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce. He's been with us before, and he's back again, Mr. Cliff Mendhiem. Cliff, how in the heck are you today?
Doing great. Thank you for having me again. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you and visit with you.
It has been a busy day. We had a press conference this morning at 11 a.m. Governor Ivey and her staff had a press conference, and I'm going to be just honest with everybody on the panel. You know, you deal with stress and anxiety and a little bit of depression thrown in there and stuff. And I was kind of, I don't know, I was kind of leaning toward perhaps a little easing of the restrictions so that perhaps we could put some local businesses back to work. But alas, it is not to be today. It looks like it's going to be at least through the end of May. But Zoom has been a very, very busy product, both up at the Capitol and in Dothan. And Chris, I know you were on Cliff, you were on a conference earlier. If you want to tell us a little bit about that one, I think the mayor was there and some other folks as well.
Sure. We were involved today. The mayor, with his leadership and team, put together a Zoom roundtable with all of the local area mayors, as well as our state legislators. Some of them are local state legislators, and then actually someone from the governor's team, just to, talk about where we are, we're trying to figure out where we go from here. It's just such a moving target. I mean, I know you guys have been talking about this now, it seems like for weeks, and there's just not really a good answer right now. Everybody's looking for positivity. It's hard to find these days, but we're plugging along and hoping for the best. You got to weigh the health and medical data compared to the economic peril that everyone is currently in. And it's just a very, very difficult decision. So it was good to get all of our leaders together and have them together, listen to them, talk, collaborate. And that started around 10:30 this morning, and then we ended it pretty much right at 11 because the governor did have her press conference, and obviously everyone wanted to hear what she had to say there.
We had just before this show came on at 5, and I think it is still underway. We had Chief Joe Bonner, the chief of staff for Governor Kay Ivey, who was answering some questions out of Montgomery, and he echoed the same thing. Basically, after the press conference with the governor, they went on to talk about how they gathered more information in the afternoon, and they got some of the congressional districts together, and everybody put their heads together. And, of course, calmer heads prevailed, and you have to bring the science, and you have to bring the medicine, and you have to bring the commerce in, and hopefully work out something that is going to be beneficial for everybody and not set us back. That's the important thing.
That's right. I mean, if you get realistic with it, our numbers are for Alabama specifically are actually not going in the right direction currently, right at this moment. So the last thing we want to do is open up too early and have those numbers spike. But at the same time, we obviously can't continue on this path from a business standpoint. It's just going to continue to wreak havoc and ruin a lot of great businesses that are out there. So we're hoping, based on what we've heard today, that I know everything is pretty much remaining the same through the end of this month, through the 30th. We feel that the governor and the governor's staff, they'll be coming out hopefully the beginning of next week, early in the week, and start releasing some type of details on the decision that's going to be made as to how we move forward after the 30th. So we're hoping for the best. Everybody's doing their part. We know that. We know how difficult it is. The Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce has been here just trying to disseminate information, let people know what all the different options are that are available. We're doing, for example, a webinar this week, how to increase your online business presence, just trying to come up with as many different ways and ideas and means and methods that we can to help any business survive under these terrible circumstances that we're all currently facing.
As you can see there on the screen, Cliff, you guys have done one heck of a job, yeoman's work over there at the chamber, and you've got building a better online business, navigating uncharted waters during a period of hyper change, the co-workshop Wednesdays, workforce recovery, of course, that Zoom meeting right over here that we were talking about earlier that you attended with Houston, Henry, Geneva mayors, Governor Kay Ivey's office, Alabama League of Municipalities, and so forth. But if you go to the website, it's very easy. It's Dothan.com. Go to Dothan.com and then click on the updated information and resources for COVID-19. And, man, there is just about, especially down here at the bottom, these are great things, but I love these boxes here at the bottom, especially the small business assistance and financial help box. Cliff, you guys have put together some resources here that are just excellent for small businesses. And, of course, they did move. The Senate did move, and they have approved more money. And we don't know how far that's going to go. We know the first round didn't go nearly far enough, but there is going to be more money in the coffers moving forward. Hey, Marcus, you changed your landscape there, and you're not in front of that bright window again. So great, that looks good. Any questions for Cliff as we talk with Cliff Mendhiem of the Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce today?
Actually, just to follow through with what you started on.
I actually cannot hear Marcus.
You can't. Can you hear me, Ricky?
I can hear you,
but he cannot.
Here. How about now?
Can you hear me now?
I can. Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. Good. But just to follow up on what Ricky had asked or was showing you, the small business assistance. What exactly can a small business do to get assistance or to get any kind of help?
Off again for some reason.
Ricky, I'm cut off again.
All right. I'll tell you, I'll stay on the screen. Let's see if you can hear Marcus. Go ahead.
All right. Now?
I can. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. But what can small businesses do as far as getting in touch with the chamber about getting any kind of assistance?
Well, what the chamber's trying to do is make sure that all businesses understand what options are out there. For example, the different types of loans that are available through the SBA. There's an EIDL, an economic disaster loan program that's available. They also had the PPP, the payroll protection program, that was available and ran out of money, but fortunately is about to be refunded or funded again, I should say, by Congress. They reached an agreement with the Trump administration. And then there's also a loan program, local loan program through the Southeast Alabama Regional Planning and Development Commission. And all of that information is currently on our website and is available for anybody. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're a chamber member or not, to go on there and get whatever information they need, or in terms of which loan might be most helpful for them. It's also my understanding that there is a new program that the U.S. Chamber of Commerce has come out with, where you can apply for grants of $5,000 in an application process, and there should be information on that on the website as to how you can also apply for those grants. So there are options out there, and it should be listed either on the website, or you just call the chamber directly and talk to us at the office, and we'll be glad to answer any questions that you have there.
Also, are you also still assisting those who may have lost their jobs during this time period?
We've been providing information just in regards to how somebody who has lost their job can file for unemployment and some of the steps that you need to go through in order to get unemployment. So yes, the answer to that question is yes, we have. We've actually had webinars on that also.
I tell you, they definitely have the resources over at the chamber. Again, that is Dothan.com. Our guest today is Cliff Mendhiem. One thing we've never talked about, Cliff, is what is your business? I think you're in law.
I am actually an attorney here in Dothan. Our law firm is Prim and Mendhiem, and I'm just an attorney trying to figure out how to make a living, just like anybody else these days. And I'm the current chairman of the board of directors for the Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce. So that's how I'm actually a part of the chamber currently.
Mm-hmm. You got a bunch of great folks over there at the chamber. And y'all you do a bang up job, and folks can get a hold of you. What's the phone number over there? Do you know?
The phone number, I believe, is 792-5138.
792-5138. And again, that is down here, Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce, Dothan.com. Pretty simple to get to the resources they offer over there. Now, there is, let's say that we could just flip a switch, as Governor Ivey says, and this would all go away and we're back to normal. We wouldn't have that COVID-19 page at Dothan.com, but we would have a plethora, a virtual cornucopia of information for local businesses right there at the Chamber of Commerce. So, Cliff, how has it impacted your business?
Well, attorneys, fortunately for our business, are deemed essential, so we've been able to stay, quote, open. Although, it's not a requirement, it's just something we decided from a personal business standpoint that we're not allowing anyone into the office itself. I mean, we've been utilizing Zoom and just meeting with people virtually and doing what we can to try and get things done and accomplished. But I have certainly seen a downtick in the number of calls we're receiving, or just general questions about legal issues and things like that. So my personal business is such that it's going to take a month, 2, 3, 4 before it really starts to hit. So I'm basically riding off of the work that I already had in place at the time that this hit. But I've got major concerns about where this is going as we continue down this road.
I hold in my hands right here from the Trump administration. This is the Opening Up America again. This is from the Opening Up America website, which is at whitehouse.gov, Opening America. This is the guidelines that the administration put out that set forth phases 1, 2, and ultimately 3. And of course, the most open being 3, but never like it ever was. I don't think we're ever going to get back to the way we were before until we start treating the COVID-19 strain of this coronavirus like we would a common cold. And that'll be years and years from now before we have, what do they call it, herd immunity or,
Right. Or
yeah.
a vaccine available. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. But phase 1 is what they're obviously looking at now, taking into account the guidelines that come down federally. And Governor Ivey and her team and the individual municipalities throughout the state of Alabama and the congressional districts have to sit down and go, here's what we can do. Some of the numbers that were startling this afternoon to me from Chief Joe Bonner. In February, we probably had the best unemployment numbers Alabama has seen in years. We had 2.7%. We were just rocking and rolling. And then, of course, March came along, and we rose to 3.5. Gosh knows what we're going to see for April. We already know it's probably going to be bad. But one of the interesting numbers was that less than 1% of the Alabama population, the residents of Alabama, have actually had a COVID-19 test. And that those are the ones who are showing the symptoms.
That's right. That's right. And I don't think there's any question that in order for us to get back to business in whatever sense that may be when the time comes, we're going to have that testing issue solved or have testing capability as well as potentially PPE, protective equipment. And we're just not there now. So that's what is creating the difficult situation and difficult decision that the governor ultimately has to make. If we had the availability, where does it come from? Who pays for it? How do we get it out to everybody? So there's just a lot of questions unknown right now. And, ultimately it's going to be about getting consumer confidence back. Because let's say the governor came out tomorrow and said, all right, we're all open again. I mean, is everybody just going to run out and start treating this as if it's not in current the situation we're facing? I just don't see that happening. Mm-hmm. So the question is going to be, how do we get consumer confidence back to a level that's going to allow for people to feel comfortable about going out and eating in restaurants, doing what we need to do to get back to our normal lives? I think testing and PPE are going to be the answers to those questions in the short term.
There's so many moving parts to rebooting the system. And the moving parts, little things that we don't think about. Okay, folks, we open up certain businesses. Let's say we open some restaurants with restrictive guests, dining guests, with social distancing in place. What about the personal protection devices? Well, as you mentioned, what about the mask? What about the gloves? I mean, it's hard enough to keep our medical facilities and our nursing homes and our vet facilities stocked with PPE. How are we going to cover all of those folks? And one of the questions that came up yesterday I thought was extremely interesting was a question of liability. I mean, you have to look at the law side of it. Let's say that they come down and they say, we need 300,000 of these. So under the defense production bill, you have to get to work making these. Okay, I'm telling my people now they have to come back to work at the factory to make these. Who is going to cover me if some of my employees get sick because I made them come, out of their shelter in place and come back to work? Little things you don't think about it. It's just so many moving parts. It was hard to get here, and it's going to be extremely hard to return. It really is. Marcus?
No, I'm just listening.
Cliff, go ahead.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. It just can be overwhelming at times. I mean, you talked about, anxiety. I mean, it comes and goes, good days, bad days. I tell people I'm taking it minute by minute these days instead of, day by day or whatever else. So
I hear you. That's a good way. Because you do have those. You have good hours, you have bad hours.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Well, we
Now,
are
Ricky,
speaking. Go ahead, Cliff.
One thing I do want to mention to you, and this is not obviously COVID related, but it's certainly something that is very important for our area and for the chamber, and that's participation in the census that's ongoing. There's a big push by the chamber and all of our local leaders and legislators to make sure that we have participation in that, because that will ultimately affect federal funding and just hit so many different areas. And if we're not fully represented in that census, it's going to be a problem for us. I know we've got a lot of things on our mind, but we also have a lot of free time. I say free time for those that are at home and not working. And I would encourage everyone, if you have not done that census, to please consider doing that.
That is extremely important. We already talked. We talked with the superintendent of Dothan Schools, and tomorrow we'll speak again with David Sewell, who is the superintendent of Houston County Schools, and he has already. Both of them have already told us about the missed testing, how impactful that is going to be to the state of Alabama when it comes time to use those numbers next year. For not only funding, but for materials and for future testing. Those missed numbers now are going to, be important later. And there's no way to get them back without statewide testing, which we're not going to have now. The school year's over in that respect. But speaking of those numbers, the census is much the same. Congressional districts are built off of those numbers. Funding is built off those numbers. State programs are built off those numbers. And we have to take the time. They've made it as easy as they can to go online and do your census reporting. And so please do that. That's a great point, Cliff. Thank you so much for making that. I think we were talking with Secretary of State John Merrill last week or the week before, and he was pushing the census as well as absentee registration and registering for absentee voting, because the July 14th runoff election is coming up, and we might not want to be in a voting booth or a polling place when we can, use absentee voting. And let me just say, his point was that there's a place on the absentee ballot because I don't know the legal term for it, but Alabama is a state where you have to have a reason. In other words, you can't just say, because I want to. You have to have a reason to absentee vote. And he said, make sure you just put that you are infirmed or you are tending to a sick individual. He said there's a place on there to mark that. So everybody who continues to shelter in place, if you're going to do your absentee ballot registration, just mark that you are either infirmed or that you are tending to a sick individual, a family member, something like that, and that is sufficient. That will suffice. So, yes, I'm looking over here at the website for the Chamber of Commerce, and there's just all kinds of webinars and workshops coming up. And as I said, the resource pages down at the bottom. Let me bring that page up once again here because it is such a great resource. Let's see what we got here. We're going to go back right here. These boxes where we see the unemployment assistance, as you were speaking about earlier, they can go right there and get some important information, health updates, information, local city and county schools. Press releases, news articles, support for the local. And I'm reading this. It seems redundant, but we're also on the radio and there's no pictures. So I'm reading what resources are available. Human resources, remote working tools. I'm curious about that one. Let's see what we got there. Remote working tools, tips for staying productive while working from home, tips for getting it done when working from home, 20 tips for working from home, work from home 101. These are resources you can use to not only be more productive at home, but we find that a lot of folks who are having to work from home now, some of their chief complaints are that they fall into a rut. In other words, they don't get up. They don't follow a routine as they did when they had to come to the office every day. And that'll cut into your productivity. It'll cut into your morale. It'll cut into your self-esteem, and before too long, you'll find yourself feeling unproductive, and therefore you'll be unproductive. So some great resources there for working from home. But if I could say one thing to folks about working from home, I haven't had the luxury to do it yet. However, I'm always told that the thing to do, the experts tell you, those in sociology and those who deal with mental and psychological sciences, they say you have to keep the routine. You have to get up. You have to, get yourself fixed up, brush your teeth, do your makeup if you're going to do that. If you're a guy or a gal, take care of those hygiene issues and make yourself available for a day at work when you walk into your living room or den or office at home and sit down to do your daily work. Keep that routine. It's very important. I want to remind you that this half hour is brought to you as a public service of Knight's Wrecker Service. Big or small, they do it all. 899-3257, Ashford, Dothan, and Headland. Great guys and gals over there, so be sure and give them a call if you need them. Cliff, I know you've had a busy day, and I really do appreciate you taking some time out for us. And hopefully we can have you back on in, I don't know, about a week, maybe when Governor Ivey and the team decides maybe we're going to start moving toward phase one of the whole project of rebooting Alabama. And we kind of look forward to it.
That'd be great. Hopefully we'll have some good news about being able to get back to work and get back to business. I appreciate you guys having me on there. If you need me anytime, don't hesitate to call or ask.
Well, we certainly do appreciate it, and they will, of course, all the experts work out all those little details we talked about, how to actually get it done. So hopefully they'll have those answers for us. Cliff, thank you so much for being with us. Have yourself a wonderful Tuesday afternoon, and we certainly appreciate it. We'll be in touch with you.
Thank you.
Marcus.
Ricky.
Got a couple of minutes left here. I did want to remind everyone that tomorrow, David Sewell, he is the superintendent of Houston County Schools, will be on with us once again. I know that when we last spoke with David, he was talking about the testing procedures, not the testing, but the packets. There'll be no more testing. The testing is over.
Correct.
The school year kind of ended like one of those ball games under a thunderstorm. Whoever was ahead in the third quarter, you won the game. There you go. That's right. So if you were ahead and you were passing when all of this hit the fan, you basically passed. But he was they were finishing up the year with some packets. My brother and sister-in-law are both teachers in the Houston County school system, and I was talking to them about the packets and how they had to reach out to parents and the students, and doing a lot of FaceTime and a lot of phone calls and getting the packets, the work packets out to the kids. So tomorrow, I'm sorry, not kids, young adults. They really are. What a tough time to be a senior.
Yeah. It's really difficult, especially for them, because not only are they missing out on the education, which I know they're really thrilled about that, but they're also missing out on the experiences. I'm talking about the senior trips. I'm talking about the proms. I'm talking, the graduation ceremonies. So hopefully their parents are strong enough, or they have something in store so that they can keep them interested in something as these days go on and as they're hopefully getting ready for college.
That's true. They have to be preparing for the next step, regardless of what circumstance we find ourselves in. They will eventually have to say bon voyage to the possibility of prom, graduation, senior trip, and say it's time now to look forward to university, college, trade school, wherever we're going from here. So hats off and hearts go out to the seniors of 2020.
Now, one thing that my mother gave me an idea, and I actually thought it was a great idea for parents to do, is buy your children journals. I don't care if they're in like third grade or 12th grade. Have them write either daily or weekly of the experiences that's going on right now. Let them speak their mind in their own journal and put it away, because this is history that we're going through right now. That way, 10, 20, 30 years from now, you can pull that back out and relive exactly what happened and show others who did not go through this what happened in the year of 2020.
That's absolutely true. A great idea, because this is happening as we talked with Cliff about, hour by hour. We never know from one day to the next what it's going to be like, or how we're going to feel about it, or what other right or privilege. I know that it's just a tough time to have. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I find myself sometimes at a total loss of words, because
don't worry, Miss Barbara will tell you about it.
Yes, I know I'm not. It's not my rights and it's not my privileges that I'm feeling bad about, because it's the safety of the country and my fellow man that we have to look out for. But when we opened up this Wiregrass Strong today, I did tell both you and Cliff that the anxiety had really set in today, because I was kind of hoping. I was not. And you were one who was looking at the more realistic side of it, saying, "Hey, it's not time." And of course, that's exactly what Kay Ivey and the Dr. Harris also said, that it's not time. It is not time.
And not until something has been put in place where we can see numbers starting to drop, either curb downwards or completely stop. I don't think it's going to be a while before we're really going to be ready, especially with the lack of testing that we're having going on.
I know. You just have to come and cheer me up every now and then. Of course, socially distancing via StreamYard or Zoom or something like that. But Marcus, thank you so much for being with us this afternoon.
Thanks for having me once again.
See you, man. Marcus Cage, Magic 93.1. You can catch him tomorrow morning from 9 a.m. until broadcasting live on Magic 93.1. He's got that entire studio to himself. Tomorrow, Mr. David Sewell, Superintendent of Houston County Schools, will be with us to talk about the school system in the county. And we invite you back at 5 o'clock tomorrow for Wiregrass Strong. And in the meantime, stay strong, Wiregrass, and thank you to Knights Wrecker Service for making this half hour possible. 899-3257. Knights Wrecker Service, big or small, they can do it all. All right, now we return you to normal programming.